Hello ladies and gentlemen, now Nilou has just been released, it's been some days and her animation itself has been so mesmerizing, I'm not gonna lie. It's like a performance itself, you can see in the triple E combo, if you take the time to watch it. It's damn pretty, but I wouldn't say the same for the experience I got trying to get her.
First, close your eyes and relax your body.
Now I want to put that aside. Now today we are here to discuss my thought on Nilou. It might not be much, but people are more concerned with. I kinda use Bountiful cores in different kind of team comps. Now we will do a discussion for that. But for now, I'm going to talk about her kit. Nilou's kit could be one of the most unique one in the game because I don't think there's ever a character in the game that actually has dual mode for the elemental skills. Now you can play Nilou as a damage dealer just by smashing normal attack. After activating your elemental skills, you can activate Lunar Prayer, which allows you to play her as an on-field damage dealer. Not to mention, in Lunar Prayer form, she can actually still uses her third attack string even if you cancel in midway of the fight. So that's pretty good. But if you choose to play her off-field, you can activate her E skill but smash elemental skill instead, and then you can activate her Tranquility Aura, which is basically an off-field Hydro enabler. And the best use of an Hydro enabler outside of Bloom comps is Freeze Calm and Data as well. And that is just the perks of Tranquility Aura. And I really wish that they actually keep on this thing. Like imagine they actually put this design for an DPS. Like you can choose to be a single target skill set with element attack. Like doing certain combo, you can activate a single attack version, or you can also do a single combo, then it turns it into an AoE attack. So that's a pretty interesting idea that can actually go around with if they so choose to do so. And that's just a random shit. Just let me know if you think that's a good idea for like future DPS. Now, a burst is like a nuke. If you do well, it can do quite a respectable amount of damage. Now with all that said, I think that is it for Nilou's kit breakdown. So, her passive is pretty straightforward. It basically just encourages full HP Nilou, combined together with an Hydro and Dendro team only to activate Bountiful Bloom. Now, needless to say, this team has been doing crack case amount of damage, but the current Spiral Abyss is kind of favored towards this reaction, so we shall see in the future. Although that is the only team that you can use Nilou to the full potential, you can still play her like an ordinary Hydro damage dealer. So instead of me doing a normal vape com showcase, what about we mix in Dendro for some fun? Now this is gonna be like a burgeon team, but instead of calling it burgeon, I think I will just call it the firefighter team, because Nilou is just going to spend most of the time trying to seize out the fire for any bloom to come out in the first place. And with that, I think we can talk about her passive. Like a lot of people has mentioned it being restrictive to the certain team comps, but in my opinion, it actually acts more like a toggle. Like if you want to play her in Bountiful Bloom, you can, but if you want to play her like regular Dendro cores, you can as well with Hyper Bloom and Burgeon. Now the damage number wise, Hyper Bloom and Burgeon can do rather the same amount of damage if you so happen to pop them off the same time as you would with a Bountiful Bloom team. The main thing is a lot of players would love to play Bountiful Bloom outside of it, and I would say it's justifiable because if there's no restriction to this passive, like instead the passive doesn't say Hydro or Dendro only, it becomes as long as Nilou is in the party, all Dendro cores will be Bountiful Bloom. Now, just for the sake of discussion, we're not going to talk about balancing. I think the main biggest fun we can play is with an Animal Infusion character, because they can act as a second Hydro character, and those characters will be Venti, Kazuha, Sucrose, and Sayu. And for me, Sayu is the biggest waste in this kind of scenario. She could have been able to be revived with a new gameplay to show you that she can roll around the street, and having explosion behind her going off like crazy. It's like a huge micro bay fest. Unfortunately, it comes with a high fidelity rate. And that is just like one of the team that I think is a waste. I'm sure a lot of people would love to like just play for funsies, Bountiful Bloom, with anything you want. And just looking at it, If she don't have this kind of restriction passive, Nilou will become the first ever character in the game who actually changed how Genshin core mechanic works. Like, reaction gameplay has been part of Genshin core mechanic since day one, and Nilou will basically just introduce a whole new mechanic that is related to the core gameplay just by existing alone. So I will let you guys think about it if this is a bit too crack, if she is able to change the whole game mechanic herself and leading to a whole new different kind of meta. Other than that, this is my build for my firefighter team. It's basically the same as you would for an Hydro DPS character. Now the weapon options is pretty limited, but I'm using a R5 sacrificial sword so that I can activate both stands of Nilou, just so that she can apply a lot more Hydro as the only Hydro character in the party. Now if you do have another Hydro, you don't have to use this weapon. And for Nilou, because she only scale with HP %, you don't have to care about weapon attack, so any weapon that can provide values to her outside of attack will be useful. So something like an Elemental Mastery from Iron Sting or energy recharge based weapon like Fascinating Desire will be a perfect match for her, and that is basically what you could do with her. But in 3-star, we have the classic Harbinger of Dawn, which provide crit damage bonus, which is something really good for Nilou. Beyond that, there isn't much options because we still don't have a substat weapon that provide HP % other than her signature weapon. And the second weapon that has a HP % is also another cash weapon, which is Primordial Jade Cutter. So other than that, just pick any weapon that you can that has energy recharge, Elemental Mastery, or even the 3-star weapon that would do just well. And to some extent, if you play her in an Hydro or Cryo team, you can use Cool Steel, and all you'd have to do is simply max the refinement and you're good to go. Even the Skyrider Sword can provide some value because of energy recharge substats. Now for her artifact, it's pretty straightforward. Just like any DPS, main stat will focus on her main skilling, which is HP %, and Hydro damage bonus for her goblet, and crit rate crit damage depending on your crit ratio. As for the substats, you want to focus on crit rate crit damage first, followed by HP %, then you can go into energy recharge or elemental mastery. Those will be your priority for damage dealing Nilou. And the constellation is C0. Her talent priority for DPS is just these two. If we can focus on her elemental skill and her burst as well. If you plan to build her as a burst DPS, then you will focus your resources on burst. But if you plan to play her on field and she's going to vape quite frequently, then you can also level up her elemental skills. Other than that, that is it for an DPS Nilou build. And this is my support Nilou build. I think by now everybody has already recognized that the main stat will be triple HP % for main stat. Now for artifact options, you want to focus on 2-piece tenacity set, but the second 2-piece, you want to focus on an elemental mastery bonus artifact such as Wanderer Troop or Gilded Dreams. And if you want to use a burst more reliably, you can also opt in to use a 2-piece emblem set instead. As for substats, the main focus is to get HP % bonus and elemental mastery, followed by energy recharge, then crit rate crit damage if you do want to do so. And the good thing about HP % is that it's much easier to find, so the chance of you trying to get the artifact that you're looking for is a little bit more higher, so we can play more leeway in trying to be more pickier in our options. Now the weapon options is pretty much the same, but you want to focus on elemental mastery weapon instead of energy recharge, because Nilou herself will still trigger a few dendro cores. Her talent wise for support is pretty amazing, because if you're trying to play her mainly for reaction build, you don't have to level up her talent. Instead, you can use those resources to level her to level 90 instead. Other than that, that is it for me. And thanks for watching. I know this guy has been a bit too slow, but that's because I want to, test a lot of different teams to see what works and what not. But, I should do better. Release on day 1. But sometimes the information does change from time to time, so I do want to make things a little bit more accurate. Other than that, that's it from me, and enjoy the rest of your evening.